Hey everyone, welcome back to Portal of Wisdom. We are back today with another story for you, and this is going to be a little bit more of a unique type of story or video. And I know we had a video we posted, and we mentioned if people may want to see a video done on the trip on the Apache Trail and all the cool spots along that trail that you can still travel, and all the cool Arizona spots along that trail. So this video is going to be along those lines. We did a road trip, and I guess as I'm producing this video now, there's quite a bit of material and stuff. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna have to break it into two videos or not. I guess I'll see as I start producing and stitching everything together. One of the first spots that we stopped at was the Superstition Museum, which is really cool, and then about a mile down the road or so is the Goldfield Ghost Town, which is a reproduction ghost town, or kind of rebuilt town to look like the ghost town of Goldfield may have looked 100 plus years ago. That's really cool and everything. And then we continue down the road to the vista overlooking Canyon Lake, all the while having the video mounted in the car so you can see all the cool scenery and twists and turns of the road, and just kind of get to enjoy all that scenery vicariously through us in the video. And it's perfect weather, so it's a great time to do this. And then we'll eventually make our way back into Tortilla Flat, which is about the last spot on the trail that's still open at this point. I've been back through the whole trail before, all the way back to Roosevelt Lake when it's been open. There's other cool spots, along that way, but they're not accessible at the moment. So anyhow, we'll talk about that. But anyhow, I will get on to the video of us starting this trip, and you can enjoy. On a little drive, starting to go up the Apache Trail. You got the Superstition Mountains over there, towering over the valley. And anyhow, this is just the start of the trail coming out of Apache Junction. This is before you get to any of the cool spots along the way that we'll be coming up to shortly, and stop at a couple of them and explore a bit and just let you know what is along the Apache Trail. Now, I think I told you in a prior video that the mountains are pretty menacing over the valley here, and they're pretty tall. So anyhow, we will continue on more of the video in a minute. So I didn't know if I should really video inside the Superstition Museum, but I took a lot of pictures of cool stuff to show you guys. There's a lot of cool stuff. They've got exhibits and stuff in this museum from back, in the old days of, like, maybe I think starting back in 1000 AD or so, with some of the original peoples that were here, and some pottery and other cool items that have been found from them. Everything progresses into some of the early mining days, and lots of really cool samples of rocks and minerals and things like that. But one of the biggest attractions to this museum is going to be everything from some of the Spanish mining and a lot of the Spanish exploration of the area and gold mining and all that stuff. And they have some Spanish armor that was found in a cave from, I think they said the armor dates into the maybe it was 16 or 1700s. I don't remember exactly, but I took a picture of that. That's really cool and is definitely kind of predates the, white men coming to the area and everything, when it was just the Spanish people coming up from Mexico and the Native Americans here and everything. And then of course one of the biggest draws to this museum is going to be all the different treasure maps that they have. There's lots of versions of treasure maps that they have, that people at some point have believed would lead them to the Lost Dutchman mine. And some of the maps are, common names you've heard of and stuff like that. Adolf Ruth and some other people that have had maps that were some of the early searchers, but these maps vary widely. And the other big draw for this museum is going to be, of course, the Peralta stones, the stones that are maybe a little bit larger than a piece of paper. I think they're about 8 by 14 inches or so, and they were carved, and they have a date on them of 1847, and a lot of people believe that these were left by the Peralta family, who had a rich gold mine in the Superstitions, allegedly, and they were a rich Mexican family when this area was actually part of Mexico before the annexing of southern Arizona by the U.S. And so this mining family supposedly had a lot of mule teams that they went back and forth hauling a bunch of gold down into Mexico from this mine, and a lot of people believe that the Lost Dutchman, or mine, or Jacob Waltz the Dutchman, that he found their abandoned mine, because when this became the U.S., then the Peraltas had to leave and go back into Mexico, as they were Mexican citizens, and some people believe that they carved these tablets or produced these tablets with a kind of a map of how to get to the mine. But of course, it's one of those things where there's been different interpretations of what things mean and all that, and there's this heart that fits into them to give you some more details and stuff. So anyhow, that's one of the biggest draws of this museum, is getting to see the Peralta stones that have a date of 1847 on them. Now, some people think that they're fakes. I don't know if they're, real or fake. I think the ones at the museum, I think they produced a couple of reproductions of them for display, so I don't know that what you see there is the originals, but I believe they look exactly like the originals, and it's still pretty awe-inspiring to see them. And there's people that also believe that these stones are not related to the Lost Dutchman or the Peralta expeditions and their mine, and they think it's from something else. But the dates do kind of line up, because the late 1840s, early 1850s, they had to get out of Dodge, basically, because this area was about to become part of the United States. So if that was the case, and they carved these stones and wanted to maybe in the future be able to come back to them, or wait and see what happened once everything became U.S. territory, and see if it ended up being safe to come back, or whether there would be a bunch of military keeping people out, or what the situation was going to be. We don't really know the exact situation with these stones. But a lot of people, like I said, believe that they do tie into the Lost Dutchman mine, because a lot of people believe that the Lost Dutchman, or Jacob Waltz the Dutchman, found their abandoned mine, and that's where his gold came from. So anyhow, still very cool to see, just being at this museum and looking at all the all of the different artifacts and stuff from this period of time. Okay, we just left the Superstition Museum. We're going to go over to Goldfield, which is a reproduction ghost town pretty much on the original Goldfield mine and town site. So we will come up here next, and it's a cool, I mean, it's a touristy spot, but it's an Old West ghost town looking place and has some cool exhibits and things like that. There's a reptile museum in there too that has a lot of Southwest reptiles and other cool spots. It's about kind of right across the road from Lost Dutchman State Park. So we will pull into this ghost town in just a second here, and then you'll be able to, you know, check it out, and we'll take a few pictures and everything here. So this is a pretty cool spot. Even if it is a reproduction ghost town, it's still pretty cool. So as we are at the ghost town here, you can see we're getting closer to the Superstition Mountains here that are towering kind of over the edge of the valley here, and you can hike up into them from Lost Dutchman Park across the road, and some people go way up there, but they're pretty steep. It's pretty crazy hikes to get up in there, but anyhow. And then we're right here at the Goldfield ghost town.
It's for everybody with the yellow ticket. Yellow ticket. That whistle's your 10-minute warning. You got a yellow ticket in your hand. This is your 10-minute warning till the time steward.
So there is a train.
Well, it's time to get yourself on over that little brown shack.
There's a train that goes around. They have a loop around the ghost town, and there's a station over there. You can get tickets. You can go on a train. There's also a zip line that you can do here. There's some cool stuff. So anyhow, even though it is a reproduction ghost town, it's got some pretty cool exhibits. There's a train, reptile museum, zip line. So there's some cool things to do. There's a little kind of pseudo mine entrance exhibit that you know, is cool if you're here with kids or grandkids or whatever. So restaurant and ice cream shop and various other things.
I'm here for the ice cream.
You're here for the ice cream?
I'm here for the ice cream.
Yeah. Some cool gifts and stuff like that. So, but pretty cool place. So as you get up in here some more, there's a few other buildings that you can go into, an old bank, some other cool stuff. You've got the old water tower here that looks pretty cool. Various shops to buy things. Cool Arizona stuff too. So, you know, hot sauces and salsas and prickly pear candies and all kinds of other things. So it is kind of touristy, but gives you a feel for what an old mining town may have been somewhat like back in those days. It's a saloon and restaurant back there. They do have, of course, coffee and cappuccino, and there's an old jail. Cool old Victorian house back there and everything. So it gives you a feel for what's here and everything. So pretty cool spot. So we just left the ghost town. There's the old Wasp mine site. The Bluebird mine site is now, I I believe, where that Bluebird Mine gift shop is. That old guy in there has some crazy stories. He's an old timer and has a lot of stories. We'll let a car go past us so we can continue to kind of video a bit of the road for you. It's not too twisty and turny yet. It'll get a lot more twists and turns in it a little ways up here. Lost Dutchman State Park is along here. That has some cool trails to go up into the mountains, and you can go up a little ways, or there's stuff that goes way up in there. So that's a cool place to camp and do hikes and stuff like that. Water trailhead. Some of the different treasure stories start back in there.
Oh, that sounds cool. Wow, there's like a lot of cactus.
A lot of saguaro cactuses, cacti, I guess.
Cacti. Said it wrong. Cacti.
Girls are in the car with me going for a little scenic drive.
Scenic drive. See the cacti, the mountains. Nice desert.
Those towering mountains of the superstitions that we showed you just a little while ago, those are like the far western edge of the mountains. Now these mountains go back in here quite a ways.
They're tall.
They are very tall, very cool. It's a real scenic drive. This is the old Apache Trail that we are on, and the old Apache Trail was, a trail from the Native American Apaches that eventually became a stagecoach route, and then when they were making the dams along the river in like the 1920s and 30s, then they turned it more into into more of a road. I think they graded it out more. It was still gravel back in those days and everything, but they needed a lot of their trucks and stuff to be able to get back in there, and so it got graded out and widened out a bit back then. And of course, in more recent years, a good chunk of this has been paved all the way to Tortilla Flat, and just I think a little ways past Tortilla Flat. The problem with doing the whole trail now is that there was a rock slide back in like 2019, maybe, after a lot of rain, and what happened was it came down and damaged a lot of the road, and you can't go past Tortilla Flat. But going to Tortilla Flat is a very scenic drive in and of itself. So anyhow, so we're going back in here a ways, and you'll get kind of a feel for what it's all about. And then there's Canyon Lake is back in here. We'll stop at the Canyon Lake Vista, and you'll be able to see what that looks like too from being up above the Vista point for Canyon Lake.
White rocks. Oh, those are great.
So a lot of people come back in here. Tortilla Flat has a really good restaurant and little gift shop and stuff like that, and a lot of people will take this scenic drive and go up there for a bite to eat
and ice cream.
Enjoy the views, yeah, and as my girl's saying, for the ice cream.
Ice cream.
So anyhow, we'll pause the video in a minute here, and then we'll pick it up at the at the vista for Canyon Lake, which is pretty cool. But as you can see, it's got a lot of twists and turns in the road. We'll film a couple more little twists and turns so you can kind of see what it's like getting back in here. It is really pretty and scenic.
Watch us.
Starting to get a feel for how many twists and turns are in this road. A lot.
Yeah, there's like a long twist.
I don't remember how long it takes to get back into Tortilla Flat. I think it's only like 10 or 12 miles, but it may take a half hour to get back in there because of just the road having so many twists and turns that you've got to go a bit slower, but it's real scenic. There are a few spots where there's some pretty sheer drop-offs off the side of the road, but it kind of varies. If you're scared of heights, maybe it's not the best drive for you, but it's actually not that bad, but it's really pretty.
Especially today, we got puffy clouds, we got cactus, we got the mountains. It's just gorgeous.
More curves, and then I think we'll pause it. Probably coming up to the vista point for the lake shortly here. Maybe it's a little bit more curvy roads before we hit the vista in a moment here. I guess it's back in here a little bit further than I was thinking. It's been a little while since we've been down on this road. And here it is, Canyon Lake Vista. Cool spot. Cool spot to see the lake. So you're up above. If you continue on further, then this Apache Trail follows the lake, and it will make its way. It'll make its way down alongside of the lake. Then you go over a little part of it and a couple miles into Tortilla Flat. Left the vista point for Canyon Lake, and coming around the corners. It's really pretty. You'll get another vista in a moment here of the lake. Here we go. pretty. And this probably starts to give you an idea of why people really love this drive. It is definitely a pretty drive. Bridge down here that you gotta go over. It's a one-lane bridge. Just gotta make sure. While we wait for someone to come across, you can see here's the views beside the road, and then we will mount this back where it was. Okay. So real pretty, scenic. We'll drive back in here, right next to the lake. And you do get a drive next to Canyon Lake for a little ways. Can't drive too terribly fast on these roads because it can be a little bit dangerous if you're going too fast. There's a big rock beside the road right there. You've also got to watch for, you know, if any rock fell onto the roadway or anything like that, that could be dangerous, or just going around some of these curves too fast could be a bit dangerous, but it is very pretty, very scenic. So you can see you can get a lot of great views along this drive, even though you can't do the whole thing. You can't go past Tortilla Flat at the current time, but that's where a lot of people go. A lot of people get on motorcycles, go for a ride, and enjoy the curvy roads and the scenery and everything, and go back into the restaurant at Tortilla Flat and have a burger or whatever, and then enjoy the ride back. And because of the danger of these roads, the restaurant at Tortilla Flat is mainly only open, I think, like maybe 10 in the morning to like 5 or 6 p.m. or so. They're not open during the, you know, the dark hours, because these roads are a little too curvy and too dangerous. So they prefer all of, you know, their workers and customers and stuff like that are going to and from the restaurant during the daylight hours, because there are a lot of accidents that do happen on this road, whether people are careless or driving too fast or looking at too much scenery, not watching the road close enough. A lot of different things can happen. And we got another road here, another bridge, on the road that is one lane. goes over Boulder Creek that flows into the lake, and the marina is here. It's a pretty scenic drive. Lots of different things to see. Also right there by the marina there is the Dolly Steamboat cruise that you can do on Canyon Lake with an old paddle wheeler, I think they call it, with the big paddle wheel in the back. It's like an old time steamboat cruise on the lake. A lot of people like to do that. That's pretty cool too, and something unusual and different, not something you would expect in Arizona for sure. And then we are in the final stretch now, going into Tortilla Flat, which Tortilla Flat I think started in the very, very early 1900s, like 1902 or 06, or in the very early days. It was a stagecoach stop along this Apache Trail route, and it's pretty much always been here, and it's kind of more of a touristy spot now, but definitely pretty cool. So as we're filming this is, you know, middle of October, so it's temperatures are, you know, a lot better and stuff like that. So, you know, the fall through the spring is ideal to be on this road, because there are some pullouts and spots you might want to get out of the car and explore a little bit and things like that, and that's a lot more doable when the temperatures are in the, you know, 70s, 80s, low 90s or whatever, instead of you know, in the hundreds, 110s. That can be, you know, pretty brutal. But anyhow, we will pause it until we get another mile or so into Tortilla Flat, and then as we come into Tortilla Flat, you'll be able to see, you know, what things look like. It's kind of like an old western storefront with the boardwalk and everything, is with the restaurant, and there's a little gift shop there, and I think an ice cream shop and some other cool things to make it kind of a cool old western touristy type of Arizona history stop. But I can see it up ahead, so a little ways. We got a few more curves, so we'll pause the video for now. And now we're coming around one of the last curves, coming into
Tortilla Flat.
Yeah, the little town of Tortilla Flat. We love this little town. It's a great restaurant, great food, kind of cool Old West type of, you know, vibe to it, of course. Anyhow, we will park and kind of walk around here a little bit. So there's some cool, there's like a tiny little museum thing there, some old stuff here.
Well, because she said there's no wine.
And cool little country store.
They took the guy down that was hanging.
Yeah, that's why.
Gift shop and restaurant down here and everything, with the old kind of western storefront. So as you go into the restaurant at Tortilla Flat, it is pretty cool. A lot of people staple dollar bills to the wall. They sign them and put different designs on them and leave them behind. And there's all kinds of cool old Western relics on the wall, and a lot of cool stuff. You even get a newspaper of some of the history when you sit down to eat. So a lot of cool things, a lot of cool stuff to kind of see and explore as you're waiting for your food. You can walk around and check out a lot of the cool things on the walls and stuff like that. And like I mentioned, the gift shop has some cool stuff, and then I believe there's kind of a couple of gift shops. You kind of have a gift shop, and then you've also got a little ice cream place or a little general store / snack food shop that you can pop into also. That I think we've gotten some really good chili spices and stuff like that to make your own chili and add their spice mixture to it. They have really good chili here too. So anyhow, sometimes I'll get the killer sized chili burger, which is really good too. So there's so many good things on their menu. But anyhow, definitely worth a trip into the restaurant and to explore the little town. Thanks for staying with me till the end. I did have another story I wanted to share with you, or just something I will share about what happened on this trip. So, I don't know if you noticed, but just after mile marker 205, we had pulled over to let a motorcycle pass us, and this had been a motorcycle that had been riding my bumper quite a bit for quite a ways. And we're going at a leisurely pace, probably doing the speed limit and what we're supposed to do around the curves and everything. And of course you want to stay safe. It's very curvy, and you want to make sure that you're enjoying the scenery and not driving too fast for the conditions and things like that. Anyhow, so we pulled aside, and you probably noticed in the video when I was pulling back onto the road, like the second time, I know very early, we also let someone pass us. But anyhow, so pulled aside, let the motorcycle pass us. It was a gentleman on a Harley, and by the time we pulled back onto the road, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 seconds later or whatever, made sure everything was clear and pulled back onto the road. He's long gone. And we ended up, after another 4 or 5 curves or so, we found that gentleman. He had put his motorcycle down and, wiped out somehow. I don't know exactly. And Arizona does not have a helmet law, and it looked like his head, he probably hit his head pretty hard on the pavement and then rolled over onto the side of the road from the momentum. And luckily he didn't roll off the cliff side or anything like that, but we were the first car that came upon it. And anyhow, got out to see if I could help him. He was unconscious. He was bleeding pretty profusely. Then another car stopped coming from the other way, and that gentleman luckily was a doctor. And then as other cars started to stop that were coming upon the scene right away, one of them had to go to a spot to get service because there was no cell phone service, for us to call 911. And they called 911, and there wasn't too much we could do for him at the scene. Just had to wait for help to get there, and the doctor gentleman was doing what he could to stop the bleeding, and the gentleman was bleeding pretty good. But the unfortunate thing is I had my 12-year-old daughter in the front seat, and she of course had a front seat window to what was going on, and this horrific scene that we came upon. So I don't know, of course it's something we've been thinking about for the last few days, and might be traumatic for her too, that as this gentleman started to come to, and the doctor was trying to keep him from sitting up, trying to keep him from moving and everything. He was bleeding quite a bit, and my daughter did get to see that. My youngest child, she was in the back seat, so she probably didn't see anywhere near the detail that my 12-year-old did. But anyhow, it just is one of those things that really, it's a sad, unfortunate thing, but it's also a reminder to be careful going around these curves and everything, and enjoy the scenery, but don't drive too fast. And there are plenty of motorcycles, since there's no helmet law here, a lot of them like to take these curves, pretty fast. And I don't know for sure what this gentleman's situation was, and we don't have any idea what happened to him after he left the scene, in the ambulance, if he ended up, being okay, or if he had a lot of, internal injuries and stuff like that. But he was in pretty bad shape. So anyhow, that was edited out of the video. As I came around the curve, my video picked up his motorcycle in the middle of the road and him laying off to the side of the road, face down, and I edited that out of the video because obviously it's not something you want to show, but I thought I would mention it because people always talk about how dangerous some of these roads can be, and it's just one of those things that you need to remember that things do happen, and just be extra careful if you're out there, driving and enjoying the scenery and everything. And be careful of other drivers, and if you're on motorcycles, of course, be extremely careful, and definitely wear a helmet. So thanks for listening, and I guess I will catch you in the next one.